Oh my God.
Oh,
It's finally happened.
wow. It's
We were
finally
late.
happening. Yes.
We were late. It's finally happened.
We're late because I was late. Welcome, everybody. Black Market Live, the late starting show today. I am Wiesel, Brandon Nisnik in Los Angeles. That's Black Market himself.
Hello, everyone.
Nate Bridges in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yo.
Tennessee. Yeah, we are late today. I gotta fix my little camera dealy. Yeah, I slept in, man. I couldn't even hear my freaking alarm. It's
You know what?
It's 11 minutes past 10 a.m. here, which for musicians is like
4 a.m.
5:15 a.m. or something like that.
Yep.
And but I'm here.
You know what?
Nate was kind enough to stall for me while I go make some coffee really quickly.
Well, God knows I'm not going to start
haven't
the
even
stream
sipped it
without
yet.
you because I'll just flail trying to talk to the void of the internet by myself.
Dude, every time that we talk about one of us being on here by ourselves, it makes me think of Garth in Wayne's World.
Dude, yes, I turn into
Right?
Garth 100%. 100%. I have shades of Wayne when you and me are together on the show, but
Right.
but by myself, I am fully Garth, like trying to talk to a girl or something. Like it is bad.
Dude, that's like the sweetest thing. Like that could be like a Valentine or something. Like you know what, Nate? When I'm with you, I'm Wayne.
But without you, I'm Garth.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really good. That's funny. Yeah, well, welcome to the show, everybody. Forgive us for being a little bit late, but you know what? People need to fucking sleep. I get it. And, you know, we're not going to dwell on this too much today, but I'm sure everyone's aware of all the heavy, heavy bullshit that's going on in the world and in Ukraine and all that. But, you know, I hope this show can be a little bit of a respite for people who have been, you know, doom scrolling or you know, just indulging too much in all the sad news. So, you know, we're not going to try to dwell on it too much, but, you know, anybody out there that's watching who's in that part of the world, just I hope you're safe and doing okay. And
Yeah.
please stay that way. But as far as what we got going on the show today, today we've got actually two really in-depth mailbag questions that we might want to
great.
just start right off the top with,
With
because
mailbag?
yeah, I think they're going to take a minute to get through. They're really good questions by our regular mailbaggers. We've also got
What a bunch of mailbaggers.
We've also got
Yeah.
we're gonna show the final Zia Starlust song that turned out really fucking cool. I'm super stoked on that one. Brandon just finished tracking his parts on it, so we're now done tracking all the Bowie sound-alike Zia Starlust glam stuff that we've been working on the last month or so. So yeah, we're gonna show off that song, and then the main event today is I'm going to do a live dub of Take My Breath Away. So that'll be kind of the main part of the show. But yeah, and then also we've got obviously Eno cards as always. And I haven't even
Yes.
drawn the card yet today. Usually I draw it. So
You
I'm
usually
like,
cheat.
I do
You always
cheat, yeah, I
like
do.
you always know. And
I
you,
read the
have all these
mailbags.
nice profound insights about the card, like ready to go. 'Cause you've been thinking about it for hours.
Yes, exactly. Well, God forbid. Look, I'm doing it for the show. If you think about it, God forbid both of us flounder and try to, you know, think of something smart to say. You know, at least one of us has got it covered.
Yeah, that's true. You really do pull this whole show. I
put the whole show on my back. Not
That's
really.
true. That's
No,
true. You do.
No, like I said, if I tried to do that, I would just be Garth. You know, so no, I'm not going to do that. Well, so Brandon, how are you
Yes.
doing? How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Been busy with, all these music projects that we got going on. I'm really excited because what I have scheduled for myself to do today after after we are together on this stream is to I'm gonna do a double whammy. I'm gonna mix 2 of the songs that you and I are working on,
Nice.
and I'm gonna record them as kind of like, well,
Sorry.
that's all right. I'm gonna record videos of them, of myself mixing these songs, to begin a new thing that I want to provide for our lovely Patreon subscribers,
Ah, yes.
which is kind of just like a regular helping of mixing tutorials, discussion, just showing everything that I'm doing, and basically doing what engineers learn not to do, which is to like let somebody watch every last little thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
They there's kind of like an element of mystery that that engineers are supposed to maintain,
and that they want to maintain.
and want to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, if people understood what they're paying you for and saw what they're paying you to do, they might feel conflicted about how much money they're giving you to do it.
Yep.
Because a lot of times, as you guys will see, when you see these videos of me mixing, that sometimes you are using a tool that they don't have, or sometimes you're using or doing some kind of technique that it's like, I've never even heard about that before. Holy shit.
Right.
I never would have even known to do that. Sometimes it is like that, but sometimes you're doing something in the mix that that they could have done themselves,
Yes.
and that anybody knows how to do, or sometimes you do nothing to something,
Sure.
and so, but I can't remember who it was, but somebody, like one of my mentor type people, one of the engineers who was like really good at center staging when I was young. I can't remember who it was, but maybe you've heard this. It's like a phrase in the trade. It's like a little meme in the audio engineering world. And I can't remember exactly how it goes right now because my brain is waking up. But it's something like if you're paying me $1,000, you're paying me $1 to turn the knob, but you're paying me $999 to know which knob to turn.
True. Yes.
That's what you're paying for, is the fact that I know which one and by how much.
Yes. Yeah, I kind of went into something like this with a new client I had this week, who's actually an old friend of mine, but I haven't worked with her. Well, I haven't worked with her in a really long time, but she's my first client, or she's a new client under High Noon, I guess, since I've started High Noon. But she sent me this beautiful, wonderful song that I was able to master, which was really cool. And she had another friend of ours master it, but the other friend did the mix, and it was like an amazing mix. Like it's perfect. Like I wanted to like pick it apart so that I could mix her next song.
Right.
But obviously I wouldn't do that because, the other person is a friend of mine, and it was really good.
And it was
I couldn't fault it really.
Yeah.
But they did, kind of go through like a rudimentary attempt at mastering it, which just kind of, not to throw them under the bus at all, because, they fully admitted when they sent me the track, the quote unquote mastered track, they were just like, look, we like put a plug-in on, we put like ozone on it, and we didn't know what to do with it. We just like put this plug-in on it and kind of let it do its thing. And as expected, it just didn't really sound very good. It was really boxy and super mid-rangey, which was surprising. It was some kind of like mix assistant thing that Ozone does, and it just automatically applied a bunch of compression and limiting and EQ, and it just sounded.
It uses an AI to master.
Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. That's just not ready for rollout yet. I'm sorry.
That plugin that does that is on sale right now. It costs
Oh,
Ozone is selling it for like $10 at
oh
the
yeah,
moment.
I believe it. I believe it. Well, I
So
heard it.
it's
I heard it
probably
straight from the horse's ass this week. It's not.
didn't sound good, huh?
Yeah, if that's assisting the mix, it's just creating more work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of started second guessing myself because these are friends of mine, and it's like I could hold my knowledge really close to the vest and not really tell them like exactly where they went wrong or what I would do differently. But I decided I just like went through my whole process, and I do this with a lot of clients. I just like am super straight up about it, and I'm just like, look, here's my console, here's what that does. I send it to this SSL thing, that's what that does. I send it to tape. I don't know what that does, but it sounds really good. Here's sort of a loose, you know, arrangement of plugins I use on my master bus for this or whatever. And I don't know. At the end of the email, I was kind of like, well, I could easily like talk myself out of work by doing this, but at the same time, it's like,
Yeah, by revealing
yeah, but
everything that's behind the scenes of what
yeah,
you're doing.
but at the same time, I just kind of feel like coming up in the audio world when we have it's been a really interesting time because it's kind of like uh, we can kind of make up this shit as we go now. Like the traditional audio world of like being a runner and like going and working your way up and becoming a studio engineer. Like that, of course that still happens, but it's not nearly as prevalent as it used to be.
Yeah, we
And
came in like at the end of
the end of that shit.
in the days when the Wild West was dying out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
We're here at 1899. Like
Exactly.
that's when, well,
That's when we came in.
now it's 1920. We came
Well,
in.
now it is, but I mean, like when we
Now we're way past it. But when we were coming up, it was
we,
like the
we
end.
met the last cowboys.
Exactly.
They were the old guys at
Yeah.
the campfire when we were learning.
Yeah, exactly. So part of me is like, I have that nagging kind of thought in the back of my head of like, oh, like fucking whoever would never fucking tell anybody like what they're doing or whatever. But I'm kind of just like,
Rules are different now.
the
We're in a
rules are
different world
super
now.
different now. Yeah, and it's like I don't work for anybody. Like this is my business, this is my studio. I can do whatever I want. It's mine. I don't give a fuck. If I'm comfortable doing it, it's like there's nobody over my shoulder gonna like tell me I'm doing it wrong or whatever. And to me, like, I love that. Like that's like priceless, And it's like, cause as an engineer, as an audio person, there's that part of me is like, oh no, like don't tell people what you're doing. And then just me as like a guy, as like a person that I am, I'm like, well, if it was anything else, I'd be an open book about it. So why is this any different? It's like I love sharing knowledge. I love sharing techniques. I love helping people learn things. I love helping people, figure out how to make their shit better. Like why not?
Exactly. Yeah, man. I'm really excited to break all those traditional rules of keep some mystery around it. Well, okay, here the last thing that I'll say, which is like one of the reasons why we used to always keep mystery around what we're doing. Another reason for that is to actually assist the client in being satisfied with the product of what you're doing.
Yeah.
This is something that I learned primarily in during the period of time when I was a monitor engineer, doing sound live for the musicians while they're on stage.
Yeah.
Which is that the client being satisfied with the sound is just as much psychological as anything else.
Totally.
And,
Yeah.
and there are ingredients that go into that besides what it sounds like.
Right. And we've heard maybe people who aren't in, the music world or the audio world haven't heard this, but a super common like engineer joke is like, if a client asks you to adjust something in a mix, just do nothing and then tell them that you did what they asked, and then they'll like it because
A dead fader. It's like an age-old
Yeah.
technique passed down through the ages
Yeah.
in
It's like
in
an
engineer
audio
land.
engineer meme. Like,
Like, yeah, right. Like, so if this is my board and we're working together, I know that I keep number 4 assigned to nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing here, and so right in a moment where someone's like, oh man, we need more kick drum in there, and I'm not going to turn up. No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
yeah.
I just move this up and go like, yeah, there we go, like that, and there.
And now psychologically,
yeah,
they're
exactly.
they're
Yes.
psychologically they're what's the word, assuaged or they're
Assuaged.
assuaged.
Yeah,
There you go,
yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Psychologically, you've kind of eased them a little bit. So
Yeah.
I
So
yeah.
it's a little bit different. I mean, well, it's a little bit different than just straight up lying to them. Even though
yeah,
it
that's
is,
true.
even though it's not, you're lying.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
you're
lying to them
right.
to get your own way.
Yeah.
But the other side of that coin is that, like, part of this philosophy is it's actually detrimental to your own client. It harms your ability to hear this objectively if you can tell what I'm doing to it. Because you may be thinking like, well, he should be using this nice compressor and he should be like, I can't wait. Finally, we're having somebody mix it. He's going to do this and he's going to do that and then he's going to do this and it's going to make my voice sound so good.
Right.
But if they saw what I actually am doing to it and it doesn't match what they're expecting, they're not even going to be able to enjoy it.
Right.
They're not going to be able to hear it objectively.
Yeah, that's why I kind of discourage and definitely don't enjoy like attended mix sessions or
Somebody sitting right behind you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I stopped mixing movies, man, because I couldn't. The director and the producer sitting right behind you.
Yep.
It annoyed the crap out of me. That obviously there are people for whom they can thrive in that environment. I hated it personally.
Yeah, it's and the reason it's kind of annoying is just because like it's the difference between someone hiring you because they want what you do and someone hiring you to become a conduit for them.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So,
I was their human keyboard and mouse.
Exactly. Yeah. So and that's the difference. And I try. It's really hard to do this, to have that kind of selectivity. But like with my clients, I try really hard to pick clients that they're hiring me to mix it, but they're also kind of essentially hiring me to produce it as well, because they're not going to give me a laundry list of things to accomplish in the mix. They're saying, by hiring me, they're saying, I like what you do and I want my stuff to sound how it sounds through you, right?
Right.
I want you to put your stamp on it and you to do your thing, not to just do what I would do, right?
And that's part of what they're paying for.
Exactly. You would hope so, but at the same time, I've had tons of clients that are just like,
yeah. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it isn't.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really not. But
I feel like sometimes when you are mixing and doing tape on my music, I treat you like like
well,
no,
I
don't do what
do
you
that,
want.
though.
Do what I want.
I let you do that though, because
I get very nitpicky with Nate.
He does,
when,
but it's okay, because one, you and me are partners, so it's different. But also, it's just like if you could just be here, I would just let you sit in the chair and do it all yourself, and you would be able to do it. But it's like, so I mean, that's how whenever we do that kind of stuff, that's how I look at it. I'm just looking at it like it's not like you're hiring me to do something. It's like I'm loaning you my stuff.
The gear, yeah.
The gear, yeah. It's more about just allowing you to use
your console and your tape machine, please.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a little different, and I don't. Yeah, it doesn't really bug me when we do that, but yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Interesting.
But, okay.
I forget the point we were trying to make, honestly.
So for all of that,
or something,
I'm really excited to do these videos for the patrons and break all these rules and just show. I'm not even gonna edit it. I'm not even gonna like edit it for time and stuff. It's just like whatever it is that I'm doing, you'll see it. But I'm really excited about it because I also feel passionately about what you were talking about, which is sharing information, sharing techniques, teaching people, and even and that includes people who produce music and actually mix music themselves too.
Mm-hmm.
It's three things that are exciting about it for me. One is, yeah, maybe someone who makes music also can learn something, and I can share the info that I learned from other people.
Yes.
Not that I came up with myself, because everything that I'm going to be showing you and everything that I do, I got from somebody else. So.
Sure.
And then the second part is even for people who don't make music themselves, but they love this topic and they think it's really interesting and they think it's cool and they love to see it. I think that's cool because half of why I like watching videos of people mix is just out of the enjoyment of watching it and how rare that content is to get to actually see behind the scenes of the way that music is made, because it's interesting and cool and fun. I love that part. And then the third part is hopefully someone who's watching can teach me something. Can notice something that I'm either doing wrong or that like there's a better way to do it, or something that I haven't learned yet before, who can send me some feedback back and teach me something.
I hope so too, because I can say, and I'm not to speak for you, but I'm sure you feel this way to a certain extent as well. But I can say without like exaggerating at all, a little bit, like I'm learning as I go constantly. Like, which is why I love having a template that I use, that like maps to my console and all that kind of thing. Because if I didn't, like, there are some, it's really interesting because as I'm changing my templates or as I'm adjusting my template, whenever I have to open up a session from like 6 months ago or a year ago or something like that, and I look into how my template was and I can see the things I was doing that up to that point, I was like, oh, this is it. This is all I'm going to need forever. I'm set for life.
Yes.
Like, this is it. It's like amazing how I'm constantly feeling that way. And I'm constantly feeling like, I know the things I'm doing right now, a year from now, I'm going to be like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like, and a lot of that is it comes from working with people and working on different types of music and being asked of different things from different kinds of clients or different kinds of music. And it's always gonna, you're gonna need to adjust your workflow based on these new challenges that come up. So it's, I have no doubt that, it'll be a two-way street of knowledge once you start posting this stuff.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And, but I started laughing because what you said made me realize, like, that feeling. Yeah. Like every time that I learn some new technique or improve some aspect of my mixing, or mastering, I feel like, oh my God, I have ruined every single song that I've ever worked on.
Oh my
up
God,
until this
I feel
point.
that way sometimes too. It sucks. It's the worst. It's the worst. It's so like
every song I've ever done before I learned this just now, I've been pooping all over it.
Yes, which is not true
because I didn't know that.
It's not true, but it definitely fucking feels that way sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, the other thing that I love about this content you're going to start posting is it kind of dovetails into something else I'd really like to start happening on this show, which is
nudity.
No, please God, no. Did you say nudity?
I thought that dovetailed nicely into nudity.
No.
Okay.
We're not that desperate yet. Once we launch the show on OnlyFans, then yes, you can expect a steady stream of nudity.
Just a matter of time.
But no, I think this show is really cool. And if you're not a musician or music producer, I hope that, and I know that people can take something away from it, but obviously, if you are a musician or you are a music producer of some kind, you'll probably get a little bit more out of this show than the layman would. And the thing I like about Brandon beginning to post this mixing stuff is these are techniques that he's going to be sharing with people. And if you are a music producer, you can take some of this knowledge that Brandon's going to be doling out and the stuff that we do on the show, and you can apply it to your own music. And there's a new segment I really want to start. We haven't gotten any submissions for it yet, but I really want to start a segment on the show where people send in their music.
Oh, yeah.
And we basically do like a weekly critique, like just even if it's just like, oh, this is mix number 5. Next week we'll do mix number 6 when you make your revisions or adjustments or whatever. And we can review your music in progress, and me and Brandon can, we'll constructively give you critiques on what we think you're doing right, what we think you could do better. And
we'll be very positive
obviously,
about it.
Yeah,
and,
that goes without saying. I hope people would, would understand that, we're musicians and we're taking a huge risk every week by like exposing ourselves like this. This is every musician that I know that sees this show. They're like, I can't believe you do this show. Like I would never do that. Like, because it's just too personal for a lot of musicians to share their works in progress or whatever. And I totally get that.
You only want people to see the finished product. Like me and you, we have this feeling of like, I don't want people to see all the mistakes that I make. I don't want people to see that it takes me like 16 tries to get this organ part right, and then I have to stitch it together with a bunch of takes. I just want someone to hear a finished product and go, wow, Brandon's really good at playing organ.
Right. But that's the reality, though. The reality is bass take number 60 of a temp bass part that you're going to replace anyway. Like that's the actual reality of making this music, for me at least. Sometimes it's like, it's not just, it doesn't just magically come out, it's like a whole process.
Yeah, I mean, it is a gamble. Like we're taking a gamble. Like today, you're gonna dub a song.
Oh yeah.
And you are taking a gamble that it might be that like kills the magic for somebody watching. Like if they see the way that the sausage is made, they might go like,
right,
maybe Black Market isn't that impressive or something. I really firmly believe that it's gonna have the opposite effect.
I think so.
Yeah. But
because I think it's cool.
It's a risky feeling. Yeah. It's like I may convince somebody away from liking my music or respecting me by doing this. That's how it feels anyway.
We just got the best comment ever. You're right. It totally looks like it's on the screen. It's so fucking funny. Oh my god.
You're talking?
It's like a doorknob or something behind.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the little thing to open the closet.
Oh, that's fucking funny. Wow. Wow. Thanks for tuning in, Papa Jocko.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think. Part of me.
I'll just go like that. Here, does that help, Papa?
Yeah. I think you're good.
That's for you.
Yeah. Part of me is like, I do worry about that, about showing too much. But another part of me is like, okay, I walk into my studio. This is objectively cool. It is not, there's nothing about it that isn't like something that someone who doesn't do this regularly wouldn't be at least kind of interested in, or at least it would like pique their curiosity. So for me, there's that as like a baseline. It's like, okay, wow, this is like something I'm not familiar with. This is something I don't do. And then I think just the work speaks for itself too. Like if I was dubbing out some kind of piece of crap song, it would probably be a little disappointing or maybe not very impressive. But the fact that the raw materials I have to work with are always so awesome. It's like I really don't worry about that anymore.
Nice.
I think, I don't know.
Maybe that's just in my head then, man.
Oh, I mean, I definitely have felt that way in the past, but I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm like, I'm not worried about Take My Breath Away not coming across as awesome today. I think it'll be awesome, like regardless of what I do, because it's already really good. I mean, all I can do is wreck it, and as long as I don't do that, it'll
Yeah,
be
don't
fine.
wreck it,
But,
please. Yeah, but no, that's cool. I'm glad you're in that
yeah.
headspace, man.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's it's interesting. It's a weird world to navigate as a musician. But yeah, we're here and we want to introduce some segments to, I don't know, if you're just a songwriter and you're like, oh, I wrote this song. Like, do you want to hear this? Like
Yeah, even
what?
if you don't want us to critique it, we'll just listen to it
Sure, yeah, and then
and enjoy it.
yeah. Uh, But yeah, I think it would be a really fun segment on the show. Obviously, as the show grows, I'm sure that segment will be kind of easier for people to participate in. We'll have more musicians watching and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it would be really cool. So if you're out there and you're watching and you're working on stuff on your own, you're working on a new bedroom EP or a new song, or you just got out of the studio, or you're just writing a new song or whatever, send us like a rough mix bounce or something, and tell us, give us a list of what you're worried about, what you like, what you don't like, and we can go through on the show,
Yeah.
and we'll kind of help you work through the production process, and let you know what we think about it. But yeah, and likewise, if you want to start enjoying this new mixing content from Wise Owl, we haven't really talked about this that much. Obviously, it's going to be on Patreon. Are we going to keep it just on Patreon? Is this going to be a patrons only content, you think?
That's what I was imagining, because I feel
Yeah,
like
it's very behind the scenes stuff.
yeah, well, and I just want to give a thank you
Sure.
to people who support us on Patreon. Like I want there to be something that people actually get
Sure.
for
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
something special
I think that's awesome.
for them
Yeah.
to get to have something for their contribution.
Awesome. Well, yeah, if you guys want to start enjoying that stuff,
It's not so much about like I want it to be exclusive only for the people in the club and I want to
yeah.
reward only them, but it's just more about like we have these people who are contributing to us and supporting us, and I want to give something to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean,
No, I totally agree with
if I
you.
just gave them what they could otherwise have for free,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel the same. I don't know.
No, I totally agree with you, because
I
yeah,
didn't think about it that much.
That is the thing about our Patreon that is probably lacking compared to a lot of Patreon pages is, and if you're new here to the show or just Black Market in general, we've had a Patreon forever, and we've had a Bandcamp subscription thing for a long time as well, and we don't really hold anything back content wise. We kind of like let it all out, because it's almost like we don't always have the bandwidth to make extra content, but we're finally at the point now where I think me and Brandon both are ready to start stepping up, and instead of it just being a Patreon page for people who are like super fans and just want to help, it'll be something you actually get that other people may not be getting, and it'll be actual additional content, which I think is kind of more in line with what a lot of people are expecting from Patreon.
Right. I think that is the way that a Patreon
Should be.
page is supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're just kind of like slowly joining the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you guys are curious or interested in seeing that stuff, obviously
The
join
Patreon
us
link
on
is up there.
Patreon.
I'm
There's
trying
the
to
link. And yeah, we'll start
Nate's head.
we'll start posting that stuff. Other kind of fun stuff I wanted to talk about today. The stream is in 1080p today. Hey, we've entered
definition.
We've entered 2011. we finally left 2006 and 720p. We're
Why were we not in 1080p before?
because so me and Brandon, we've been working on this is our 31st episode of the show, which is rad.
Nice.
But the early days, we had so many issues just like getting the show to launch and not fall apart and like crumble to the ground. So we were just very like conservative with everything we were outputting was in 720 just to keep it manageable. Yeah, we just wanted the show to work, basically. So, but yeah, we've finally gotten to the point where, like, you know, this week I was looking at some of the ABBA dub videos that I've got on deck that are coming up, and those don't require any kind of streaming to be happening or anything like that. And I was like looking at the quality of the videos, and I'm like, these don't need to be shitty quality. I could record these in higher quality. So I updated the dub video template that I've got so that at least those videos will be in 1080. And then I thought, okay, well, while I'm here and while I'm doing this, I might as well try and update the stream as well. And yeah, I worked on it a little bit this weekend, and it worked really well. So I hope everything's stable out there for you guys. We just got a Groove Stranger over on Bandcamp says stream looks and sounds chef's kiss currently. So thank you, Groove Stranger.
Yeah.
He also said, since you guys are into production and mixing, you really got to check out Ken Highwatt Marshall's YouTube channel. I feel like I've heard of him. So
yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does sound really familiar. So yeah, I hope you guys are all enjoying the stream in higher quality today. And hopefully, you know, knock on wood, we don't have any issues today. And if not, then yeah, we're gonna keep it this way indefinitely.
It means a lot to me that it got Groove Stranger's approval.
Absolutely, he's the tech guru. From
Yeah,
one.
Right, exactly. Groove is the resident tech expert
Yes.
of the stream.
Yes.
And so,
yeah.
Tech boss
Groove, who I was not able to make a moderator this week for some reason. I don't know why. I know. Okay. Speaking of Groove Stranger, I'd like to kick off Mailbag with a great, awesome question from Groove Stranger.
Mailbag.
Yep, that's the official Mailbag sound effect drop. Brandon just did it. That's how it's going to be every week, forever.
It's the theme song.
Yeah, because I keep forgetting to do that part. Okay, so Matt, a.k.a. Groove Stranger, says, "Hey, Nate and Brandon, one of the things I've come to love about dub are the hypnotic bass lines. As you are well aware, there's a distinctive sound to the bass in a lot of dub music. Very dark and smooth with no attack, but it still cuts through the mix even though there's no high end at all. You can hear the same kind of bass tone in other kinds of music. A great example I just noticed is Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Fucking badass song. I love Nick Cave, by the way. He says, and that bass line's super fun to play. He says, I was trying to dial in that sound on my setup the other day, and I got close, but it wasn't quite right. So I was hoping you could talk about how you would do it. I know that it must be a combination of instrument setup and production settings like EQ. FYI, here's what I did so far. So this is, now he goes through his process of trying to achieve the kind of dubby bass tone and similar to the Nick Cave bass sound. He said, here's what I did so far. Tone control all the way down on the instrument, play on the neck pickup and try to play gently, use my modeler, disable all amp/cab flavor and go straight DI, use EQ to lose anything above 500 hertz, add tons of compression. This is a good start, but something is still missing. I know tape wound strings are suggested for this kind of sound. I have tapes on one bass, but it is a fretless. I think the tapes do sound closer to the semi-rounds on my main bass, but I also get that Jaco Pastorius moi sound, which isn't right for dub. Is tapes plus frets the answer? Cheers, guys. Matt, a.k.a. Groove Stranger.
Wait. Did he say that he's playing this on a fretless bass? Is that what he said?
Let's see. It says...
And by the way, Groove Stranger, answer me in the chat. If by tape wound strings, do you mean flat wound? That might be just like a...
I think so, yeah, because that would make sense on a fretless bass.
But Groove Stranger's in like Colorado or something, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, whatever.
He says in Bandcamp, I tried both fretted and fretless. So it sounds like on his fretless bass, he has tape wounds, is what he's saying. So tapes equal flat wounds.
That must be flat wound. Okay, yeah.
That's what he's saying in the chat.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay, keep going.
Well, that's the whole email. I have my thoughts.
This is what Mailbag is all about.
Absolutely.
Best mailbag yet.
I have my thoughts on this, but I think
Okay.
obviously we should defer to the bass guru here.
I mean, I'm sure what you would have to say about this is probably
I have a few things.
exactly the same as what I would as what I'm about to say too. But yeah,
I have a few
go for it. Go
things.
for it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, off the top of my, Brandon's going to be able to go way more in depth on this stuff, but off the top of my head, there's a few things that I'm noticing in your setup, Matt, that I used to do as well that I don't really do anymore. But I get why you're doing it, and I used to do this exact same thing. So tone control all the way down on the instrument. That I think is really dependent on the sound or song you're going for, but kind of something I don't really do anymore. I kind of just let the bass
Yep.
and its natural tone be what it is. Play on the neck pickup. That's kind of a good idea, I think. I think, but again, it's totally dependent on the kind of tone you're going for. And it sounds like for this, that's not a bad call at all. Disable all amp/cab flavor and go straight DI. This I don't really do anymore, or I try not to. Now I have things I introduce into my bass chain that do kind of model amps and stuff like that. But not, I guess not necessarily a cab though, although I do like that as well. And then the one that I definitely disagree with the most in what you're doing is use EQ to lose everything above 500 hertz. I think that is not something I would do, but I get why you're doing it, and I used to do similar things to this. I don't know if I ever did that sharp of a roll off, but I definitely used to do things like that. Because basically, I think that there's like a feeling you're enjoying from the bass that you're trying to achieve, and you're trying to get there by cutting off all the high end and the high mids. But I kind of think that it's like you're almost kind of missing the point in doing that, because you can still achieve a sound like that without like artificially rolling off a ton of the natural tone of the bass. And then tons of compression. Totally. Yeah. I think every bass needs a bass should just have built-in compressors in them at this point.
Built into the bass itself.
Those are my initial thoughts just off the top of my head, but I'm very interested and curious to hear what Brandon has to say about this question.
All right. So that tone, man, that golden tone, that reggae tone, that is so sought after and oh so difficult to achieve. Yes. So, and you're right. Like the way that you describe it in the beginning of the email there, Groove, is a really, like, even the sound itself is like perplexing because it's so big on the bottom. It's so round, and at first impression, it feels like there is so much low end to the frequencies, to the character, to the I'm still waking up. What is it called? Like the frequency curve,
the timbre.
It feels like if you're looking at the frequency response of this bass signal, it would just be this huge bell at the low end. That's what it seems like at first. But when you listen more closely to it, there's all kinds of mid-range stuff. Like if you're listening to it on a cell phone, you can still hear it.
And if it was all subs, you wouldn't hear it.
Right. You would not be able to.
It.
So there's lots of in there as well. Right? Like you said, much higher frequencies, parts of the mid-range that's very clear. In a lot of those classic reggae and especially dub records, the bass is mixed almost like it's the freaking vocal.
Yeah.
Like it is the most full and present instrument all the way up into some surprisingly high frequencies. So how do you get your bass to sound like that? It is the age-old question. So the thing that gives it that quality, the thing that makes it sound. And by the way, tell me if he's like saying things.
He's taking notes and he says thanks for responding. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'll let you know if he says anything.
Okay, thank you. The thing that gives it that property of being big and the low end and also clear in the mid-range frequencies is harmonics. It's being distorted. The signal of the bass is being distorted by various stages of gear that you're passing it through, either actual physical gear or plugins, digital gear. So what you need to do, so basically the way that works is the harmonics of like a bass amp, for example. Here, I'm going to show you. This is the reason why I was getting, this camera out.
Weird.
I don't know if you can see this thing. So this is my Ampeg V4B. I have it located in a very inconvenient place in my studio. It's kind of hard to reach. It's behind some other stuff, but this is this is absolutely connected and hooked up, and I use it all the time. So this is a amplifier head that was made probably about 72 or 73, 74, something like that.
Ripple 50 years ago.
Yeah. So that predates the difference between guitar amps and bass amps. There was no distinction between guitar and bass amps at that time. There's just amps. And one of the things that thing does to the tone is it takes in. So if you imagine the sound that's coming off of your bass is most likely a very pure tone. It's something that surprisingly closely resembles like a pure sine wave, possibly. It's not exactly, obviously, but it's closer to that than you might imagine. So by going through this amp, it gets multiplied. It gets distorted in a way where it adds, the amplifier is adding more copies of the tone that goes into it at higher and higher and higher and higher intervals. And so the way that happens, the arrangement of these higher intervals getting added, how loud those higher intervals are, the balance between the different higher intervals, and all of that, it changes depending on what piece of gear it is, and the way that that each one of those different pieces of gear that you pass it through is dialed in. So you're constantly balancing and crafting the tone with all these things. So
he says
one of the
it almost sounds like you're describing a chorus effect, which similar but not quite.
Yeah, it isn't, because what a chorus effect is it is a delay. Chorus is a delay or an echo effect where the delay time is extremely short.
Yeah.
And
this what he's talking about is much closer in line with all the things we've been discussing about saturation.
Yeah, exactly. This is saturation. It's distortion. Saturation and distortion are the same thing. So basically, the way that you get, or the thing that gives the bass the quality that you're going after, is distortion. But it's distortion that's happening in a particular way.
Yeah.
And it's distortion that you only get from certain places and from certain types of gear. So, to start off with your bass, yes, don't turn down the tone knob. Keep the tone knob forward. Every time that I record bass, the tone is open. So what's getting recorded and what's going into the amp is all the high frequency stuff. You can still hear the frets and everything. The strings that I'm playing are round wound strings. There are frets on the bass. But these strings, here's one of the things that you can do. You don't need to, but I have a piece of foam.
Oh yeah.
Underneath the strings.
I do this as well.
At the bridge. You can use a sock. You can use a piece of a torn up t-shirt. You can use a piece of foam.
Foam is great.
Yeah.
If you've got any of that, like just kind of crappy, like those like foam panels you put on the walls to like deaden studio your mixing room or whatever those are called. That's what I use. I cut one of those up and just put it right in the bridge of my bass.
Yeah, and so that kind of alters the responsiveness of the string and makes it rattle a little bit less, and it makes the notes shorter.
So he says so I want to explore amp models that offer a lot of saturation options, and he also says I've played with foam mutes, but I need to find a way to mute without changing intonation. So it sounds like when he puts these foam mutes in, maybe he's getting some tuning issues with his particular bass.
Yeah, so that will happen when the piece of foam is far away from the bridge. So if you keep it relatively close to the bridge, then all that you should need to do is just tune it again. So if you tune it before you put in the foam and then you put in the foam, it'll be out of tune now. So put in the foam, keep it close to the bridge, if not right up against the bridge, but experiment with where the sweet spot is, and then tune it again. And if there is any kind of serious intonation issue, then there's probably just an intonation issue with that instrument, period.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so yeah. So then, right, use the amp modeler. So this is where it gets challenging, is how do you get this kind of tone that has all the saturation, that has all of this mid-range presence while you're playing live, while you're playing in your actual direct bass sound, because a lot of the sound that we hear in these dub records, a lot of that distortion and saturation that's in there that gives it that quality comes from the various stages of when the bass was recorded. It comes from the console, it comes from the tape machine, it comes from the compressors, the outboard gears, that the pieces of outboard gear that the engineers used. So a lot of that tone was introduced after the fact, and the direct original bass sound didn't quite sound like that. So I wouldn't go neck only, because and here's why. Because what you shouldn't try to do is try to set your bass up so that you're starting with a mid-range heavy sound. Because when you introduce the distortion always goes up in higher parts of the sound. So if you start with mid-range, you add in saturation, it's going to go up from there. The sound that you want is when you get a nice fat low end, because you can't distort down. Well, maybe you can. It depends on the gear, but generally it goes up. So you start with a round sound, and the mid-range quality comes from saturating the low round sound. So the mid-range sound is like the distorted copy of what is lower than it. So on your bass, start with the sound being fat. So I would recommend not the neck pickup. And yeah, just like push it into the sound of tubes and
he's
transistors
saying,
and shit.
He's saying, I've read that tape adds saturation. Is it worth playing with a tape model, like a tape plug-in, I think?
I
I would say start with your amp modeler. It sounds like you've got a good start there, and
Yeah.
at the end, fuck around with the tape thing too if you want. But I think you're going to be able to achieve the sound you're looking for with the setup that you have. I think the mistake you're making is you're trying to achieve this sound completely on your bass by itself. And your bass is just one part of the equation. And you've got all these other tools that are actually going to help you get there easier than if you are just trying to oh, I need a fat sound on my bass, so I'm going to turn the tone all the way down. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
it's counter. It sounds like it would make sense, but it's actually counterintuitive.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That sound that you're going for comes from the way that it comes from everything that happens after the bass.
Yeah.
So you should have your bass set up and dialed in just like normal, like a normal bass, and it's the way that it's treated after that. And keep the high frequencies in, because you'd be surprised. I mean, like all these like really big fat bass tone things, if you solo them in the mix, you can hear the frets, you can hear the strings, the fingers moving across the strings. You can hear all these high frequency things that you can't hear in the main mix. But when they're gone, now you have a completely sub sounding bass that you can't hear on it doesn't pass the cell phone test like a dub bass does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like for instance, Matt, like where I definitely differ with the EQ stuff. I used to do a similar thing. I would roll off a lot of high end thinking, oh, I need it to be big and fat, so I'm going to get rid of the high end stuff. The high end stuff, it's not going to get in the way of the bass being fat. You know, that's not standing in the way of anything. And for instance, what I do now after all this time of mixing bass and mixing dub and reggae and stuff, if you look at the EQ curves of, like, if I put an EQ on any bass I do now, typically I'll actually boost like 1,000 hertz. Like 1K, I'll boost a little bit because that's where a lot of fret noise lives, and that's where a lot of like kind of higher mid-range stuff on the bass lives, because that is the stuff that's going to help it cut through. Like it's the easiest thing in the world is to get a super subby, huge, big, loud bass. That's really easy. But like Brandon said, you can have the loudest bass, biggest, lowest, most low end bass in the world, and you play it on your cell phone, you're still not going to be able to hear it.
Yeah, and that's not the tone that you're going for. You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is hard to achieve. It is like, yeah, I mean,
it's counterintuitive. It's not,
that
you
tone
have to
is
do
like
things,
the holy grail.
Yeah,
for
you
a
have
lot
to
of people.
You have to do things that you wouldn't actually think to do. It wouldn't be the first thing that would come to mind. I don't think. He says, I completely misunderstood the role of the amp in this particular sound. I never would have guessed so much mid-range made it in. Wow. Yeah, it is pretty surprising.
Yeah. So from the way that you describe your current signal chain, the thing that's going to make the biggest difference in you getting that tone is playing around with your amp modeler stage and getting that. So, but you know, as you cycle through the different settings, different sounds, try different things out, most of them are going to sound not even close. Most of them are going to sound completely wrong. But there's a certain type of amplifier and a certain amount of gain and a certain amount of a certain type of distortion that is going to give you the sound that you're looking for. And almost all amp modeling suites are going to be full of a bunch of other settings that are not what we're talking about at all. And it's going to sound like some crazy dog shit.
Yeah.
So you got to go through and explore and play around with it.
Yeah.
And get like really subtle like tube distortion.
Yeah. Well, Matt, great question as always.
Yeah.
We always love hearing from you, man. And thanks for always being our tech guru and our main mod over on the Bandcamp side of things. Thank you for the question, man. That was excellent. And keep us posted on any progress you make with this this bass tone you're looking for. Like Brandon said, it is the holy grail tone. It's really hard to achieve. It wasn't until I started working really hand in hand with Brandon that I started fully understanding this stuff too, and changed a lot of the ways I do bass as well. So yeah, keep us posted. And I don't know if you record much of your stuff or anything, Groove, or if you just kind of play for fun, but kind of tying back into the segment we were talking about trying to launch earlier. If you're working on any music and you want us to critique it, that would be a great way for us to kind of do a deeper analysis of the tones you're utilizing and stuff you're trying to do and stuff you're trying to accomplish. So,
exactly. If we could hear it, then we could definitely give you much more feedback.
Yeah, much more
what to do.
Detailed feedback. Yeah, that would be cool. So yeah, think about that. Thanks again, Groove Stranger. Excellent question. And likewise, if any of you out there watching have any questions, shoot us an email to blackmarketreggae@gmail.com. The link's in the description of the video. You should be able to send us an email with just put mailbag in the subject line and we'll read your question on the show. All right. Well, that was excellent. Then we've got another mailbag question, another equally interesting, cool question, but kind of from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. This is from our boy, Andrew Wright. Andy, our main man in Berlin. Mm-hmm. Greetings, Bushmilk brothers. A little so good. He says, a little over 25 years just before my 20s, I made the big move up to the big smoke of Auckland, New Zealand. I had the fortunate luck of working in a couple of iconic cafes. Nice. One of these places being Cafe Brazil, that provided a great meeting place for musicians, artists, and other like-minded misfits. It was a long, narrow, old theater entranceway with a rounded ceiling that did wonders for sound and had two Technics 1200s up there, back where DJs would play in the evenings. On Saturday nights, I had an Auckland icon, Bob, a.k.a. Bobalon, who was a member of Auckland...
That's a cool name.
Yeah, of Auckland dub outfit, the Hallelujah Picassos. And Bob educated and filled my ear... I think he meant eardrums. My eardrums with golden glory for 5 years. And then he posted a link to, I think, maybe a song by the Hallelujah Picassos. Nice. He says, rest in peace, Babylon. Question. So, Brandon, in earlier episodes, you've given your mother, Monica, a lot of credit for helping your musical influences. But how did Nate and you both find the love for dub? Was it a person, a band, or even a particular song that just blew your mind? For myself, Sister Nancy Bam Bam sealed the deal, as it should. Bonus question:
It's a hard song to ignore.
Bonus question: how many Brandons does it take to change a light bulb? Answer: who cares? He should be finishing the Alicia Keys song. He doesn't need a light for that. That's good shit. Oh,
that's
man.
Pretty funny. Yes.
Yeah.
Touche, Andrew.
Babylon sounds really cool. We'll definitely check that. I'm going to send Brandon the link to that. Actually,
Rest
here,
in peace, Babylon.
Yeah, I'll post the link in the chat if anybody wants to check that out.
Okay.
I would say, to answer your question of like, how did I first, discover dub and reggae and all that kind of stuff. I think for me it was like my brothers all listen. I have 4 older brothers, and they all listen to reggae and dub, and so like, they started filling my head with that stuff at a really, really young age, like maybe like 12, 13. I was introduced to a lot of reggae. Obviously, I always liked Bob Marley, but I almost kind of consider Bob Marley like outside of the like real deep dive I did, because
yeah,
I don't know, liking Bob Marley, it's like liking the Beatles. It's like you don't have to be some kind of like super hardcore classic rock fan to like the Beatles.
It's like being a fan of Johnny Cash doesn't mean that you're into country music.
Exactly. Yeah, he's that
Which
caliber.
means you like Johnny Cash.
Yeah,
everybody likes Johnny Cash.
He's crossed over from his niche into just the general pop lexicon, right? So,
Yeah.
and there are lots of artists like that are huge. So I always liked Bob Marley, but like,
Nate, keep talking. I just need a second to turn off the heater, otherwise I'm
okay,
gonna die.
no
I can
worries.
still.
So I always liked Bob Marley and stuff like that, and my brothers got me into him really early. But they also got me into like Ika Mouse and like Yellow Man and Ken Booth and Gregory Isaacs and
Yeah, these are much more deep dive things.
yeah, all the Trojan
Those
shit.
are some names that you don't know unless you're into reggae.
Yeah, all the Trojan shit too is like a great. I was about to say Trojan horse to getting into reggae, but I mean it literally is. Like if you buy those Trojan box sets and listen to them, it's like there's like 30 different artists on some of them, and each one is like a whole another rabbit hole you can go down. So those were really helpful, but and all that stuff was a great like background that made me realize like, oh, I really like reggae a lot. Like I listen to reggae. A lot of my friends don't. I actually like listening to reggae, but like when I played music, I played in rock bands, and the music I really nerded out on and wanted to learn on guitar was like Led Zeppelin and fucking all that kind of classic rock shit. But it wasn't until I met Brian Wallace that I was like, oh, holy shit, like I'm going to make reggae like forever. Like I'm just going to make reggae music like forever and ever. And this is like what I want to do. And we've talked about Wallace a million times on the show, but yeah, he was my teacher and Brandon's teacher as well. He was our music teacher in high school.
He's going to feature heavily in my answer to this question.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, he was a teacher at our high school, and he also ran a recording studio, like, I don't know, a mile away from our high school, maybe less than that, half mile.
Yeah.
Like you could walk from you could walk from the parking lot of our high school and be at his studio in like 5-10 minutes, just walking. So yeah, once I kind of started interning at his studio, he basically, I was there from like day one when he started Dub Robot, and I was in an early initial version of Dub Robot that had a live band component, and he basically like took me from like being this like 14-year-old kid that was like played way too loud rock music and didn't really know what I was doing to like he like took me into his recording studio. He took my whole band into the recording studio for free just cuz he wanted to teach us something. And he like put a record player in the middle of the live room that he had hooked up to like our headphone system. So we had headphones on listening to this reggae record, and I forget for the life of me what song it was, but it was super old school, like Skinhead Moonstomp type song. Like it was real dirty reggae shit. And he was like, I want you guys to play along with this record. We're just going to play it over and over and over again until you guys kind of get the nuance of this style and of this song. And then we're going to take the record away, and then you guys are going to play the song, right? And so we did that with him picking up the needle of the vinyl, putting it back on, and we would play along. And we did this over and over again. We did it probably for like a week. We'd come in. That was one of the first things we would do.
How old were you?
I was like 14, probably, maybe 14. You know, we would just play this shit over and over and over again. And then it got to the point where we could play it. And then he started breaking down the concepts of what each of us were doing. Like, okay, now you know how to play the bass right. Here's why this is right. Here's what you're doing. Here's how you can apply it to a different song. And then we started just writing our own songs. And we would just kind of make up our own little reggae jams. And he would record us doing it. And he would use them as like, he would dub them out for like Dub Robot shit or whatever. But it was basically his little like reggae boot camp he put us in to get us to learn how to be reggae musicians so that he could have like a free live band to play Dub Robot shows with, which we fucking loved it. We were like,
that's how he got his house band.
Oh yeah, that's how he
recruited these 14-year-olds who were in a band and turned them into his house band.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And we were all about it. I mean, I loved every second of it. It was amazing. But yeah, and then at a certain point, I remember distinctly him kind of pulling me to the side and just being like, look, I can kind of see that you're more into this than the rest of your bandmates are. So I definitely want you to like start just, you can intern here for me if you want. Just show up every day if you want and hang out. I'll give you stuff to do. You can watch what I do and learn, and we'll do dub robot shit together. We'll learn how to. I'll show you how to dub stuff. He started letting me dub robot songs, which was really cool.
So you're like the scientist to his King Tubby.
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of how.
Wow.
In my heart of hearts, I would love to think of it that way. But yeah, I mean, for me, man, it was, I had the most incredible mentor that a young guy in my position could have asked for. Like he was in this position where he was good at working with kids. He was good at teaching music. He had the space. He had the time. He had the passion to teach people things. He's a very good spirited guy. He's very lighthearted and funny and fascinating to talk to. Really insightful person, which all added up to just like I just was enamored with the guy, and and it moved beyond that to just being like he's just my friend. Now he's just a good friend of mine, and I feel really lucky to be able to count him amongst my friends. But probably at the most crucial juncture of my life, he was there for me as a mentor, and it instilled in me this love for reggae and dub that I still have and that I'll have forever now. I'll be singing his praises long after he's gone. you know like he's kind of the reason for everything for me. you know but yeah, very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate.
Yeah.
And Brandon has a similar kind of story with Wallace. Like it wasn't just like a one-off thing that Wallace did for me and my friends. It was like there was many iterations of me's that came along way before me. Chief being like Brandon and our buddy Nigel and Stanny and fucking Emilio, Joanne,
before us. Before
yeah,
me.
yeah. So I always am bummed out in a way that I wasn't in the same grade as like, Nigel and Joanne and Brandon, all the people that were kind of in Brandon's grade who were a little bit older than me, because God, yeah, it's just a weird thing that happened. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, I would say to just close up what I was saying. Yeah, Brian Wallace, being my mentor is the reason why, dub and reggae is such a big part of my life now.
Well said, Nate. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's hard to, it's hard to like talk about Brian Wallace and the influence that he's had in our lives beyond just like the surface level, like without getting emotional. It's like,
yeah,
really, really significant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the biggest thing, the two biggest things to understand about the connection between me and Nate and our origin and how we got to be here where we are doing what we're doing right now. The two biggest things are that we come from the same hometown of Atascadero, California, which is a small town. It's exactly halfway between LA and San Francisco. And it's small.
Yes, very small.
And the second thing is that we were the students of Brian Wallace. And so yeah, like Nate said, I mean, me and Nate are two of a really big group of people who were taught music by Brian Wallace when we were kids in high school.
Yeah.
And Brian Wallace, in years before moving to Atascadero and being the music teacher at our high school there, he was a saxophone player in the band Mobtown in Los Angeles, which was a big part of the LA ska and reggae scene in the early 90s. They were part of the same group of bands that like Hepcat came from. And a lot of these bands, even like Hepcat, who's like the biggest one of that group of bands, I don't really know how popular or how well known that band is outside of California.
Yeah, but
And
in
in other
California, they're the
parts of the world.
they are the fucking coolest.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Like,
They're the greatest
they're
in
so fucking cool.
California. So part of the same movement where the Slackers were going on in New York,
Yeah.
and things like that. So Brian Wallace had this background in ska music and reggae music and Jamaican music and a passion for it. So he moved to this small town where our families were raising us, not realizing who was about to come in and change their kids' lives.
Yeah.
And started teaching music at the high school there. So
He was the most punk rock teacher you could imagine actually getting a job at a high school. Like,
dude,
it was a complete like subterfuge, complete fucking coup.
subversive. Yeah, he
Subversive
just came
fucking
in
dude.
and yeah. So our high school had a marching band, like the symphonic band. It had a jazz band and it had a reggae band.
Yeah.
And so when I was 14 and I was about to go into high school, I had been learning guitar and bass. I was still, learning, and I wanted to play guitar in the jazz band. I just played rock music and stuff like that, but I knew that I wanted to be a musician, and I thought, okay, if I can get myself into a music class, then that'll really help. I couldn't read music. I hadn't learned music like the academic proper way, and I wasn't interested in playing some other instrument besides guitar or bass, I wanted to play like a rock instrument. I didn't want to play the trombone or something. So I went and I auditioned for the jazz band to play guitar. And I auditioned, and Brian Wallace was there. Joanne, who's the singer of Penny Real, she's another one of the kids from this whole era of us. They were sitting at a table, and I remember they like looked at each other, like talked to each other, and then Wallace was like, "Okay, I'm gonna clap my hands, and in between when I clap, I want you to play a G chord. Okay, ready?" And he goes, and then they're like talking, like, okay, thank you. That'll be all. And I left, and I'm so nervous. I'm like, oh my God. And then later on that day,
Wait, so that was your audition?
that was the audition. Some other kid in the band came by.
Oh my God.
And found me like somewhere out on campus in between math and English class or something. And was like, hey, did you hear? Like, congratulations. I'm like, what? Like, you got the part. Like, I did? Like, yeah. I play in the reggae band too. It's going to be cool. I'm like, what? Reggae band? What? No. No, I auditioned for the jazz band. Are you sure I didn't get the jazz band part? They're like, no, somebody else did. You get to play bass in the reggae band.
Wow.
And I was so pissed off, dude.
Really?
I was so pissed off. I didn't give a shit about reggae.
Oh my God. I can't even.
And I didn't give a shit about playing bass.
Even hearing you say that is like bizarre to hear. Oh,
here's Emilio's here,
yeah,
the Latin jazz band. Okay.
There's another Wallace disciple.
Emilio here, who's in the chat, is another Wallace disciple from Atascadero. He and a Wallace disciple in a special way too, because Emilio also played tenor sax, which is the instrument that Wallace is like a virtuoso at.
Yeah.
But yes, so part of Wallace's punk rockness is he couldn't call it a reggae band or a ska band. we called it the ska band. On the books, it was Latin jazz band.
That is so fucking funny.
So I got the bass part for Latin jazz band on my school schedule, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was so pissed off. I didn't want to do it.
Oh my god, I love this. I did not know that he had to call it something else. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Everyone
it's
just called
the
it
Latin
ska
jazz
band.
Yeah,
Everyone called it ska band when I was in school.
because he couldn't get the administration to approve it.
Dude,
unless it. Oh, Latin jazz. Okay.
That's
So
funny.
So it took him like a year. So the moment when it happened, when I stopped hating the fact that I had to play in a reggae band when I didn't want to, we were on a bus doing some kind of, exactly right. I'm not sure if I knew what ska was before that. Yeah, me neither. You hear the word ska, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
He taught us everything. So we're on the school bus, going to perform someplace. I can't remember where. Yeah.
Emilio's cracking me up, dude.
Yeah, Emilio got the same.
Genuinely interested
Emilio,
in Latin
you
jazz
did
band.
play in both, though. I think you played in the jazz band and in the Latin jazz band too. I think, right? But Wallace just hands me a CD player, like a Discman with some headphones, and he's like, "Here, listen to this." I'm like, "What?" So I put it on. And he's like, and I'm like, "Which track?" He's like, "It doesn't matter. Just press play." And so I press play. And what's in there is the Trojan Dub box set.
Hell yeah.
That black CD, disc 1.
Yeah.
And so I'm riding on the bus. And so this is the first moment that I have ever heard dub, real dub, in my entire life. And it blew my mind. It like melted my brain. And I heard the bass, the way that the bass is playing, the way that the drums were talking, all these different like effects that are going on.
He's the Natalie Portman to your Zach Braff. Yeah.
Exactly.
What's that movie called? Garden State? Yeah.
Garden State. Yeah. Shared the headphones.
Yep.
Like, just the fact that the featured thing about this music is the bass and the drums, and there's this like creative thing going on where like instruments would disappear and have echoes and have these like different sounds going on. I couldn't even understand how that was happening. How was this music even made? How do you even get something to sound like that? Like, it was so mystifying. And after that point I was like a believer. And I became like the most staunch supporter for, we need to make it be more reggae. We need to make it more Jamaican. We need to make it more authentic. Criselda's here. My girlfriend is here. What up, Criselda?
Brandon's girlfriend's Criselda's in the chat.
That's right.
What up, girl?
Yeah. So, oh my God.
Yeah.
I need to stop talking about this because I could go on for like 2 hours. But
it's okay.
But yeah, Andy, like when you were sharing, the story of this theater and everything, I feel like I could see it, like the rounded ceiling and everything, the DJ booth up there, like, Babylon, and it's cool, man. And like it really, it goes back to all these like special stories and special people and the people who shared the love with us. Yeah, like. For both me and Nate, this is not something that we found like ourselves, and
it was a gift.
It was absolutely a gift, and for both of us, I mean, I don't know, like my parents and the people who literally raised me, and Brian Wallace. Those are like the most significant people. If they didn't exist, I wouldn't exist. I have no way of even being able to imagine what I would even be like at all.
Yeah.
If I hadn't met him,
Yeah. I completely agree with you. It's one of those things where, um, for everybody watching, like, just know the ripple effect of the butterfly effect of showing someone music can be so fucking profound. It's incredible. Like it is incredible what can happen.
Especially kids.
Especially kids.
This was such an important time in our lives when he shared it with all of us. We were all, around the age of 14.
Yeah.
That's when you go from... That's when you start really getting like passionately interested in the music that you're listening to.
Yeah. There's a
and
reason.
Start like making decisions about like what your life is about in the context of music and the music that you're about and that you love and that you connect with and everything,
There's a reason adults teach kids about religion when they're really little, and there's a reason why we send kids to war when they're 18. And it's because at that point in time, human beings are more moldable and shapeable and more fanatical and driven to whatever task you put in front of them. If they find a passion for it, they're zealots for life. I mean, that's it forever. You know what I mean? Like that you've finished shaping the clay putty of a person, and you've put it in a fucking kiln at that point. You know what I mean? Once you introduce this kind of shit to a kid, once they find the passion for it and the fire for it, I mean, I would honestly say 9 times out of 10, that's you just created a little adult. Like, that's what they're going to be like forever.
Yeah.
And, luckily we had the type of adults and mentors and musicians in our lives that, put a guitar in our hands instead of a gun and sent us off into the right direction. You know what I mean? Like, because, and so I think about it all the time. It's like, it's really like a blessing that we were, that we were fortunate enough to be in a Tascadero at the same time as this guy, and anybody out there, if you are really passionate about something, you could be a Brian Wallace for somebody else, out there, and you could be the person that really makes that difference, and that, that lights that fire, is the spark for somebody out there. And for Wallace, it's like, dude, he's got like musical children, like as far as the eye can see. Like he's got so many, and not even all reggae people either. Like I think about like Taylor Belmore, like she was really close with Wallace too, around the same time I was. And now she is just like this fantastic, incredible musician. And, a lot of that came from spending shitloads of time with Brian Wallace. Like he just has this effect on people. He's just really inspiring. He's a guy who's, God, he's probably in his almost 50 now, right? And he's still doing like what we're doing.
Dude, that's the trippy thing, man, is when he handed me that CD player, he was 29.
Yeah, he was younger than we are now. Yeah. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah, seriously, you guys, we could go on about Wallace. Literally
and
forever.
we will. We'll tell more Wallace stories in weeks to come.
Yeah.
There's too many for one episode.
Yeah. Like Dub Robot shows, going on many California tours with Dub Robot, fucking his Sublime stories, fucking
right. Yeah.
Rockwell.
He played saxophone on 40 Ounces to Freedom.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, he's
all right.
Yeah. We could go on forever. Literally could go on forever. But
good question, Andy.
Yeah, good question, Andy. And please, if any of you guys want, Griselda says bring Wallace to the next live stream. I think we both really want to. It's just we couldn't let the stream devolve into what it is right now, where we're just like, oh my God, Wallace was just our fucking hero. Because it's like he doesn't want to. He's not.
We might do that less when he's here.
Well, yeah.
We might fanboy about him more because he's not here, you know?
I think if we were gonna do that, one, the show needs to grow quite a bit before we have him on, and two, I think it would be better if a majority of the questions and like interview stuff we did with him possibly came from the audience. I think that would be really cool.
Well, we should work on something with him, you know? So
Yeah.
be here while we work on some music.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, that's a whole nother avenue. Is we just get him on some shit and have him track live on the show. That would be fucking cool.
Exactly. Get some saxophone recording happening.
Yeah,
up
that
in
would
here.
be really sweet and a really unique episode for sure.
We should do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, we've done off stream. Me and Brandon have done like 3-way, like stream, like not a stream, but like 3-person calls with other musicians for like outside client stuff that we do. So we definitely could do it. We could make it happen, like without a doubt. Oh man.
All right. Speaking of music and making music,
Yes.
should we do Eno Card and dub?
Absolutely. Well, Eno
Nate
Card.
is going to dub a song.
Eno Card. Then let's show off the fashion tune, and we'll just play through it really quick, and then we'll.
Oh,
do,
yeah.
Then we'll do.
That's
the dub.
right. I forgot about that.
Oh, this is awesome.
Okay, Eno Card. This is a card from a deck of cards called Oblique Strategies, developed by Brian Eno and some other guy.
Yep.
They're prompts to get you thinking outside the box while you're working
love
on
you, other
music
guy.
in the studio.
Thanks, other guy. By the way.
I know. I was thinking about that when I said it. It's like that dude's probably on the stream. Like,
Yeah.
God damn it!
He's probably
Fucking
like, I'd rather
Eno,
just
always
He's
overshadowing
probably
me.
like, I'd rather just not have the credit. Than
Yeah, it's
to
like
be
just don't
other
even
guy.
mention me if you're gonna do it like that.
Oh man.
Anyway, okay.
Yes. Well said, Brandon. These are cards developed by Eno, another guy in the studio to help with creative block or just to facilitate interesting ways to work musically in the studio. So
What
this
do we
one's
got?
great. This is one of my favorite ones. I love when I pull this card. It
Okay.
just says, "You are an engineer.
You are an engineer.
You are an engineer."
Okay.
Do you know how many times that I've needed to hear that in my life and in my career? There have been so many times.
I don't know how many times. No.
There are so many times in the past where I would be like, I would literally be engineering for someone who's paying me money, and
Yeah.
they'd be like, and I would talk to someone else maybe. Like I'd be getting paid to make music. And then I'd go to a party or something or go to a bar and talk to friends or something. And they'd be like, "So what are you doing?" And I'd be like, "Well, I'm trying to be an engineer." And it's like, dude, you are an engineer. That's literally what you do. I've basically not done anything else my entire life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can count on one hand the amount of like regular jobs I've had. Because all I've been doing is this shit.
Yeah. I get what you mean, man. I do the same thing. We like carry over from this early period of time of having this dream,
Yeah.
trying to be an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of like identify that way like forever.
Yeah. And the changeover happens. It's not an overnight thing. It happens really slowly and subtly. And one day it just is true that you're not trying anymore and you're not aspiring for it anymore. You just are doing it. And it's not like a switch that gets turned on. It's really gradual, but if I compare to where I'm at now to 5 years ago, it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm an engineer now. This is like what I do,
You're an engineer, but Harry. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good one.
I think it's time for music.
It's time for music. Music. All right, so
Oh,
this
fancy.
is this. Sorry, it's okay. Sorry,
That was an accidental.
that was
Whoop.
great. Okay, so this is Fashion. Well, it's a sound-alike of the Bowie song "Fashion" from his album. Sorry, I get distracted by the chat sometimes.
Show
Chrisella
me
just
what
said,
you
"Show me what
got. I want to see what you've got.
Yeah. So yeah, this is basically a sound alike that Brandon and I did of the song Fashion from Bowie's album Scary Monsters. And this is the final song that we're working on for Zia Starlust and her kind of Bowie-inspired EP. So this one turned out to be my favorite one. Of all of them. Like, for sure. Like, this one and Low, the one we did with the ambient stuff, those are my two favorites, like, for sure. But this one in particular, I just fucking love how this turned out.
I'm excited to hear this, man. I don't think I've heard it all stitched together and balanced and everything.
Oh, man, yeah. So just to quickly move through kind of what we're doing here. So here's the drums. So there's a lot going on here. The drums have kind of like a 50% wet crystallizer plug-in on them, which is kind of that Eno low era kind of drum sound that we've been chasing.
Yeah, it's a Sound Toys crystallizer, which is a digital plug-in that is emulating the Eventide H3000.
Exactly. Yeah. So
harmonizer.
As you can see in the tracks here, pick, snare, hat, overheads, rooms. And then there's also some printed EMT plates, which are super cool. EMT 140 plate reverbs. So these are it's a really cool plate reverb, one of the most famous plate reverbs. We've got some congas, which are pretty low in the mix, but they're there.
And crystallized.
Very crystallized, yeah.
That little like...
we've got shaker, we've got triangle. So this is like a disco drum loop, which I thought was appropriate for this era of Bowie. And then I also did some wild like percussion sample stuff. So in the song, there's actually a second hi-hat in the song.
Okay.
Sidewalk Andy says it's making the stream lag. Okay.
Oh boy.
Good to know.
We're afraid of this.
We are afraid. We were and are afraid of this.
New technical difficulties.
Well, as long as you guys can hear it, I guess we'll try and diagnose the problems after.
Yeah, please bear with us. We will. Nate and I will have yet another technical diagnosis day.
Yeah.
Where we just spent hours trying to make this crap work.
Yeah. Okay. Also, it could just be this session is like insane. There's so much going on. I've frozen like a ton of these tracks, but this session is like really wild. Okay. So we've got this hi-hat sample that basically shifts from being on the beat.
Mm-hmm.
So like right on the downbeat, and I layered it with like some more. I layered it with a hi-hat sample too, just to make it a little more percussive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Groove claps are cool.
Oh yeah, so the claps are wild. Groove Stranger's saying we're getting laggy stuff on Bandcamp too. So, sorry guys, bear with us. The new format we're doing this in is probably going to make this pretty challenging, but it's also this session is just really crazy. So yeah, these claps. I went through bar by bar and recorded like different claps for each bar.
Really?
Yeah.
So a different clap sound or a different clap rhythm?
Different clap rhythms for like basically every bar where there was claps in like the original song Fashion.
Okay.
So yeah, if you listen to those claps specifically.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, here's the claps down here. It's really fascinating what he did on the original song. And so I kind of just tried to mimic it.
Kind of reminds me of like what Lee Scratch Perry did with the cowbells.
Yeah.
On his songs, just do a pass of just him whacking a cowbell throughout the song.
The other big component of this is a big synth bass. which sounds awesome. We've got our Bowie, our classic like Carlos Alomar style Bowie guitars. So we got one that's like got a phaser on it in the left channel, and another one that's kind of just more distorted in the right channel. Except for the distorted one, instead of doing a distortion guitar, this is kind of closer to like a Michael Jackson like Thriller, like chorusy Stratocaster sound.
Yeah, some Paul Jackson Jr.
Exactly.
action.
And then the craziest thing on this
Sounds
whole
so good, man.
the craziest thing on this whole mix is this insane Paul Fripp from he's from King Crimson. He played guitar on Fashion, and it's just fucking insane what the guy does. So I tried to mimic that with this guitar sound. Really epic, aggressive, distorted.
Wow.
Yeah, just kind of like a knife stabbing you, but it's a guitar.
This stuff is such a time machine, man. All three of those guitar tones is just nailed. So, like
You.
they don't sound like emulations. It sounds like actual recordings from the era, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And then Brandon sent us some really cool like PC2 drops that I put in the other day, which are fucking awesome, and some other like synth stab stuff.
that's this thing.
Oh, here that's like the Bowie piano from Ashes to Ashes kind of sound.
Mm-hmm.
Super fucking cool. And then the final piece that I really wanted to put in there as like a tribute to Scary Monsters, and which is, you know, the album where we're taking all these sounds from. Sidewalk Andy, did someone say cowbell? No, we did not. The first track on Scary Monsters has this woman speaking Japanese in the beginning, and Zia Starlust sent us all this spoken word stuff that she had recorded. And I thought, okay, we can use that. That would be cool. But what would be kind of interesting and creative and unique would be, what if instead of using that, I wrote down everything she said and I typed it into Google Translate, and then I translated it to Japanese, and then I recorded that Japanese into Ableton. And this is what that sounds like. Here we go. So yeah, that's actually just Google Translate, which I love.
Like when you put it through, when you put the effects on the voice, it really disguises that that's not actually a human talking.
Yeah, there's all kinds of shit on it, which is probably why it's making the stream lag. There's like, but even though it's frozen, I would hope that it would, make it a little less taxing on the stream. But oh well. It's got like a little altar boy on it. There's, I think there's an instance of crystallizer on it. There's just all kinds of weird shit on it. So yeah, let's check out our sound alike of Fashion. Of the last song on the Zia Starlist album
Nice,
that we're
man.
doing. So,
Dude, the synths that I sent you, they're early actually.
Oh,
So they should line up with what you originally sent me, the music, rather than starting with the beginning of the speech of the vocal.
Okay. I'll fix that once we're off the stream, before I send Zia any mix or whatever. Still sounds really good. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, sorry about the stream lagginess, guys.
I think it might be screen sharing kills it.
Yeah, screen sharing is
What is it?
rough on the stream.
What is up with these weird technological spiders that live in our computers and make them do strange things that I don't understand?
Yeah. Oops, sorry. Yeah, it sucks. But it's a Reality of working in this medium, I guess, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, now I've got up the Take My Breath Away dub session. So hopefully this there's way less going on in this session. So I'm hoping that this plays nicer with YouTube.
Can we do it like just with your cameras, like just with camera view of the console, maybe? Because it might be because of the screen sharing. We're getting like about half of a frame a minute right now.
Okay. Yeah.
We get like
that's no good.
I'm looking at a nice still image of us from
Okay.
maybe more than a minute ago.
How's that? That should clear it up a little bit.
No, it hasn't changed yet.
Okay.
We're still just looking at a picture of Ableton playing.
Shitty. Okay. Well, it should clear up in a second here.
Okay.
Bear with us, everybody. I can see it on Bandcamp. Kind of, it's moving through. It's just kind of struggling right now. But
okay. Yeah. Hopefully it'll go back to normal. Maybe if we're just not screen sharing.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So yeah, the plan for today is to do Take My Breath Away dub.
Yeah.
Which I'm very excited to do. I'm going to adjust something in OBS that will make this not fuck up.
So yeah, this song, Take My Breath Away, this is the one we showed you guys a week or two ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Music produced by Wise Owl, vocals by King Roosta. So this is King Roosta, Ryan Basilio, and Wise Owl combining to do a reggae version of everybody's favorite Top Gun makeout song, and one of the great love jams from the 80s. And
Yep.
Yeah, Black Market is about to slap down a dub version.
Yeah, trying to see if I can
see it and hear it.
Trying to see if I can fix any of these stream issues we're having here.
Okay. I think we're up to 2 frames a minute now.
Yeah, that's no good.
I just saw it change. Hopefully it'll pick back up.
Yeah, I see it change. It's now changed over to when we were screen sharing Reaper now, so it's definitely moving forward. I'm hoping the whole stream isn't screwed now, like what happened yesterday when we did a tech day. That would be really unfortunate. I don't think
like
so.
if it hopefully it doesn't stay like this.
Yeah, exactly. Because if so, I'm trying to think what we could do to fix that aside from just relaunching the whole stream, which we might have to do.
Okay.
Let's see. Seems like we might have to. Everybody, sorry.
All right. Yeah, stand by, folks. We may need to, everybody, leave and come back.
Maybe I'll just leave it alone and just see what happens. It'll just make watching this later kind of hard. Because I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's no like version of this stream now that isn't going to be laggy, so it's not something I could re-upload later to have cleared up. I don't know. What do you think? Should we relaunch or should we just carry on?
I think maybe you just switch to a camera view of, your console and just take like a little warm-up pass through the dub, just try one and just to give it 5 minutes while you dub and whoa, yeah. Spacey.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll resolve itself over the
Yeah,
5
maybe.
minutes.
So yeah, I did a little bit of like prep work on this yesterday. Just kind of getting somewhat of a balance together, and